Genesis 6. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they choose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, and which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God, and Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence.
And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood, room shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within, without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I, even I do, bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind. Of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him. So did he.
One of the first things we see in this passage is that God saw sin in the world and needed to destroy it. He needed to destroy what he had created. Let's look in verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Now look in verse 7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. God regretted even making earth because of all the sins that have been piling up from all of these bad people. When we sin, we can't let it pile up, because that could lead to far more destruction. If there is sin in our lives, we should get rid of it. God saw the need to destroy sin so it wouldn't get any worse. If you have sin in your lives, you should stop doing it and get right with God. The second point is, but God found grace in God's eyes because he was godly. So, if we look in verse 8, we can see that it says, But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 9, These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. So because of Noah, because he was so godly, because he was righteous, because he was perfect, that is the whole reason why the earth was saved. Well, not all of them. God didn't want to destroy everyone, so he saved Noah and his family. Our godliness could save lives. Our godliness can make a change. Because of Noah and his godliness, he impacted the whole world. What does God think about us? Does he think we're godly and worth saving? We should change our lives to where we are righteous and just and perfect, just like Noah.
As we look in verse 13, it says, And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence, and through them, and behold, I will destroy them with thee. From this we can see that God saw sin and violence, so God is going to destroy them and everything on earth. When it says the end of all flesh is come before me, it's saying the Lord is going to destroy all flesh and living things. As well as this, sin has consequences. Because of the people's violence and sin, they will be destroyed. In verse 17 as well, where it says, And behold, I, even I do, bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. This is also telling us that the Lord will bring a flood upon the earth to destroy every living thing that breathes because of their sin. In verse 18 it says, But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. The Lord kept Noah because of his obedience, and he walked with God. Verse 9 it says, Genesis 6 verse 9 says, These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. Verse 22 it says, Thus thou Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so did he. Noah obeyed God by doing all God had commanded him to do.